the flexibility and the power that we have from Webflow, it's not the only reason, but it's one of the primary drivers of what's allowed us to kind of grow the way we have in the past year or so. Like the digital footprint is something that I think everyone is so proud of and so excited to showcase. And just candidly, I think they're so excited to go and visit and read content on that we're just in a fundamentally different spot as a result of the investments we've made there.
How's it going, Beau?
I'm doing great. Thank you both for having me here. This is going to be a ton of fun today.
Yeah, no, looking forward to it. So I guess it'd be great to hear what you thought of a master's, given all things were quite spectacular, man.
Man, the Masters was great. For all the real golf sickos out there, they're going to roll their eyes when I say this, but my wife and I, mostly my wife, has this horribly ironic process of booking trips during the Masters every year. So every April, I am on something not watching the world's greatest golf broadcast. And this year we were in Yosemite and it was great, but I didn't see a ton of the coverage. I left that up to the pros on my team to do all of the real heavy lifting, but I caught enough of it. I love it. The Masters is such a great product. The viewing experience is so fun. And, love Rory McIlroy and was just excited to see him put on the green jacket again. So big win for the golf world, in my opinion.
Yeah, that last hole that he played and he kicked it off to the right and then into the bunker. I couldn't believe it. That was something else.
Yeah, I think he missed it so far off that it was actually a benefit. If he'd had a slightly more online miss, it would have been worse. But when you miss so big, sometimes you end up in a completely new spot. You're like, okay, it's not that bad. Yeah. I can do it from here. So
actually, I think you're right.
Completely missed it.
It went right far enough that it actually worked for him. Correct.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're a scratch golfer yourself. Is that correct?
I am. I spend a bit too much time, working and in Webflow of all the things. But if I'm not doing this, I'm out on the golf course, somewhere between enjoying golf and just berating myself for not being better at golf. But it's a great game and I love it, and I'm more often than not pretty good at it. So
yeah, I always wonder, do people on Scratch actually enjoy golf, or are they just constantly worried about their next shot and just getting frustrated?
I don't know. I wish I could tell you that they really enjoy it. I think I mostly do. I'm starting to develop a better relationship with it, but I think I'm often too worried about my results and lose track of the process sometimes.
Yeah, right. So I guess, we're going to get into it, but how did golf influence your career? Tell us a little bit about that, because it obviously has ultimately, right?
Sure. At this point, I work for a golf media and experiences company. So golf is a big part of my career. I think if you, don't eye roll me and let me just be a little abstract in some ways, I started playing golf at an early age, played a lot with my grandpa. My dad would take me out to the course as well. And golf is a great passion. It's a great hobby. It's a great thing to get outside and have some fresh air and have a chat with people that you really love. But I think it also is just a great way to instill some discipline in you. It's a game that's self-policed. You play by the rules if you want or you don't. So you really are the one that's in control of doing what you're doing. And it's also another thing that there's just no real shortcut in it. You can't just walk out there and be good at it. You have to put in countless amounts of time and energy and effort, and you really need to be in tune with what you're doing. And, I think that if you want to read too much into it, you could say that it's just a great kind of way to think about life, and it teaches you a lot of skills that become useful to you later on. Or you could just say you're out there on a field hitting a ball, trying to hit it in a hole. But I like to think that somewhere between those two, both of those are true. So I've been a golfer for a long time, and I like to think that it instilled some good life lessons in me that I take to the professional side of my, of my work as well.
I think golf tells a lot about a person, and playing golf with other people as well. We actually did a work do when we all went golfing together. We did a sort of a pitch and putt. And we randomly selected Jono and Elliot to be in a team because we knew they'd be just both competitive. So we knew they needed to be together. Because if they weren't together, then they'd just, it would go crazy. So yeah, we added them in a team. I think about patience and how good you are at it, I wasn't. Mine went in the water. So I think I was about halfway through. So that's my experience.
There are a lot of water
with
features. Yeah.
I think what you said though about turning it into obviously your day-to-day now is it's really nice to actually have that evolution of something that you loved when you were little and it's your family and it's ingrained in kind of half of you really and a massive part of you, and then to turn it into a career and do it on the day-to-day. Obviously not playing golf maybe every day, or maybe you are, but turning it into you're like, I wish. Turning it into that passion in your work life as well, I think is really, really nice.
It's lovely. I mean, I feel very blessed to do what I do. It's been the first job in my career that when I took it early on, my wife kind of asked me, how's it going? What do you think? Yada, yada, yada. And at the time I said, I'd really love to retire doing this job. Like I'm so happy with what I do. It's a subject matter that I have almost endless amounts of energy and passion for. And not that I've not enjoyed the things that I've done or the people I've worked with in the past, but there's a difference between getting to work on a product that gives people enjoyment, that deepens their relationship with something that you really care about, versus maybe something I did in the past, which was like, helping SDRs cold call or cold email prospects or whatever it is. I worked for like a lot of sales and marketing companies. So it's just the pure subject matter of what I do brings me a ton of joy, and work still feels like work, but I do feel a little bit of joy that I'm doing it for something that I love so much.
So I feel like we haven't actually spoke specifically about Friday golf. So can you give everyone a bit of a headline, and then tell us a bit about what you do in Friday golf as well? That'd be super helpful.
Yeah, I think we've kind of been tippy-toeing around it, but I work for Friday Golf, and we are at our core, a content and media company that covers the game of golf. That's really the origin story for us. We've since grown that into a much more large and kind of diversified company that's in and around golf events and things of that nature. But for us, we cover a really unique niche kind of aspect of golf, which is golf courses and architecture, the people that build golf courses. Inherently, that shapes the way you experience so much of the sport. And we thought that it was an underdeveloped, kind of undercovered area that when we started talking about it, this is long before I started working for the company, it really grew a very organic, deep foothold with a community of golfers that just had like an almost endless appetite for it. And that kind of domain expertise, I believe, has helped us kind of parlay our voice and our narrative to the broader golf community in a really sincere, authentic way, to where now, we cover the Masters, which we were talking about, or the US Open, or the Open Championship, or all of golf's major events, but do so still with our own kind of little spin on it, of like a very deeply rooted appreciation for the game that we all play, how it affects the 3 to 4 hours that we spend on the course, and why you may like some things better than others. Like a good example is Lydia's talking about how she like hit her ball in the water, and then it's like, oh, this is the worst. I hit it in the water. Like maybe we could talk about the merits of whether golf courses should have so many water hazards on them or not. Like that's some random niche content that we get into, and I think our audience really enjoys.
I'd read that one. And my answer would be no. Can we have less? Less sand, exactly. Less water, I agree. Less trees.
Yeah, I
might be slightly better.
And so what's the kind of, so there's podcasts, there's blogs, there's paywall content. What's that mix look like? And where do you see that kind of evolving in the near future?
Yeah, we are a small company by employee count. I think we do a great job of punching above our weight. But, we're less than 20 employees at this point. Most of the folks on our team do content creation of some form or fashion. We've got 3 tremendous golf podcasts that span different kind of portions of the game. We have one that's called The Shotgun Start, which is kind of more of like your sports talk radio, but in a sincere way, 3 times a week. We've got our original podcast, which is the Friday Golf Podcast. That's Andy, who's our founder. It's kind of his weekly deep dive into a topic that he really cares about. And then we've got another great podcast called Designing Golf, where Garrett will speak about kind of the ins and outs of golf course architecture. It's a much more focused, much more niche subject matter than maybe the other two podcasts. We also do videos. We've got a tremendous YouTube channel. Cameron and Parker and the team broadly, Matt does a great job with all of the video content. And we do a great job highlighting things that are near and dear to our heart that maybe the under the radar or the bang for the buck kind of places for an average person to go play. And then we also completely flip that on its end, and we'll do these really beautiful highlight videos of like the most exclusive premier golf courses, in the world. And then one of the areas that I'm, deeply passionate about is our written content. It's in a world where written is kind of slowly dying to some extent. Like Lydia and I were talking about how short form content is kind of the thing now, but we actually put a lot of time and effort into long form written content because we think that the relationship we establish with our audience is really important. And sometimes that can't be relayed in 150 characters or a 60-second video. And so we've got a website that profiles some of the most beautiful golf courses you'd ever see. And when I say beautiful, I don't mean only the Augusta Nationals. I mean like the Nickerson pitch and putt that is like the under the radar mom and pop place that just has an honor box that you drop $3 in and go play around and then call it a day. And so for us, our content is quite diverse. And I think we do a great job of leveraging the modern kind of tools at our disposal to distribute like in a way that just historically was impossible, right? Like we couldn't have done what we do in 1990 because we'd have had to print magazines or make actual like VHSs of stuff like that. And so now we've just got like a really fun, diversified content offering to deliver our message across a number of different mediums.
How do you, because you have a very specific tone of voice and you have a really human aspect behind it, as you were talking about, but how do you protect that as the company gets bigger, as the audience gets bigger, the team gets bigger?
That's a great question. I would say that where I sit in the organization, I'm our head of product, which is a business role for us. We have content roles, which are really creative folks that go out and do this. And they really, for the most part, are the manifestation of that voice. But what I think we talk about is like there's a difference between knowing how to sound like you might think about the fried egg sounding and then actually like authentically living it and understanding it. And for us, it's finding people that really truly grasp down to the most minute details of what we do and bringing them on board, because they're not just going to sound like and, amplify our voice, but they're actually going to go out and find the unique stories to cover. And then they're going to do that in our voice, which is really the unique thing about it, right? It's like, I could probably write something in the style of the fried egg, but I wouldn't really know where to go and find the next new amazing story to tell. And everyone on our content team, whether they're writing, podcasting, creating videos, etc., they just have this unique, very deep understanding of the game of golf. And they do a great job relaying that to our reader or our listener or our viewer in an honest, not reductive way that doesn't take anything for granted, but also doesn't treat the audience like they're too dumb to figure out the like nitty-gritty details of what we're talking about. And so that to me is something that I think we do really well, is just go extremely deep and don't apologize for it, but also make sure that we're like human enough to try to bring the people along with us.
Is it a prerequisite of the company to play golf?
I mean, no, but would you want to work at a golf sicko place if you didn't play golf? So most everyone that is as employee here is deeply rooted in the game of golf. And when push comes to shove, we want people that really love this sport to cover it and work on it, because the dirty secret of golf for most things that you love is like, you're probably not going to get rich doing it, but as long as you have something that you can really sink your teeth into, I think that's the real, the payoff for most of us.
Yeah. And it's how you get that deep content as well, because there is that love and that passion behind it.
Absolutely.
I think that's sort of the secret sauce in a little way to the company.
Yeah.
So where do you see the content evolving? Where's kind of the next kind of opportunity or unlock for you guys?
Um, it's it's too simplistic to say let's just keep doing what we're doing, but to some extent, I kind of hope that that's the next chapter for us. I was thinking about this, in preparation for talking to you all today, and trying to think of like ways to relay the message. But one thing that I think is unique to us, not holistically unique, but unique maybe to golf media, is historically, I feel like media businesses, especially in golf, have operated by gaining an audience's attention, and they aggregate as much attention as they can. And then they, either passively or actively sell that to advertisers, right? Like that's the way you make money. It's a flywheel. An article at the end of the day is meant to generate eyeballs. So those eyeballs can hit on ad kind of like banners or whatever it may be. And same for other mediums. For us, I think that attention's not the word. I think it's a relationship. Like building relationships is really how we go forward. And instead of having a flywheel of content that drives attention, that is then sold to advertisers, that is then rinsed and repeated, we're actually kind of trying to build a ladder, if you will, where we have a strong base of relationships. And for us, it's better to have an article that only 1,000 people read on the template holes and their benefits and this, that, and the other, than it is for us to talk about like, Tiger Woods sand wedge and some clickbaity article that 1 million people might click on. So going deeper is kind of where I continue to see us evolving. We don't need to change too terribly much because really for us, it's like slowly just building a relationship. Like that really what's key to us. I think maybe more specifically though, to answer a few of your questions, the things that we've been investing in lately that I really love, trying to be just the best media outlet when it comes to covering the majors. Like we put a ton of time and effort into the Masters this year. I think that it really paid off, but it was very sincere. Like at the end of the day, what we're actually trying to do is make our reader or our listener or our viewers experience of that event better as a result of our work. Like we're not trying to be the star, we're trying to be the supporting cast that just like makes everyone else shine brighter. And I think at the end of the day, that really is what's important to us in terms of growing a true, authentically trusted kind of base.
What does
Interesting.
and you said obviously covering these massive events. What does the Masters Week actually look like for you and the team?
Well, thankfully for me, I talked about it. I'm on the business side. I'm not on the content side. So for me, the Masters Week is like, it's going to sound stupid, but like it's easy. I'm done when the Masters Week rolls around. But really what that means is if you rewind the clock 2, 3 months back, we've put a ton of time and energy into marrying the product development that I focus on most of the time with the content team. So for us, the things that we were really trying to go deeper on this year is we've historically done these great course profiles that help people understand the ins and outs of a golf course and how it might be routed through the piece of land that it's built on, or how, certain decisions are made would affect your experience playing it or a professional's experience playing it. And for the Masters this year, we just took it one level deeper and said, like, what if we went all the way down to the hole level and did 18 unique hole profiles that talked about what's special about the first hole, some history about it, some of the great shots that have been hit at it. And that was a really exciting idea from our content team. So when they kind of first approached me about it, I was like, great, this is amazing. How can we leverage the tech that we have to just amplify what you're doing? And we built this great page that, not that this is a plug for our stuff, but it's thefriedegg.com/masters. If you go there, there's this immersive experience that I think we've brought online that gives people an overhaul of like, this is the tournament. This is the most important story of the tournament. These are the holes, the defining characteristics, etc. And so to answer your question specifically, Lydia, it's like by the time the week rolled around, I had built out all this stuff with the help of your team to make sure that our guys were ready to go to rock and roll. Like they're off writing, they're doing an immense amount of work, like up every day before sunrise. They're at the course, shooting it if they can, writing the little tidbits that are going to be ultimately really fun to relay to our readers. And I'm just kind of sitting back, like I'm in Yosemite to the point earlier. Like I'm just having a nice, lovely time because my work has already been done at that point. But there is a tremendous amount of work that they do week in and week out. Like Slack lights up, like it's crazy. Like people are just kind of tossing ideas out. It's a super fun behind the scenes view of what our content team does and does really well. And I'm kind of like reader one most of the time. I'm like, oh, that's a fun idea. I want to see this one get flushed out and pushed out to fruition. And so, yeah, it's a ton of fun. They do a majority of the heavy lifting during those weeks. And I've hopefully got everything in place for them to just be as successful as they possibly can be.
So would you have been able to create that immersiveness and then also go on holiday if you're still on WordPress?
Oh, no. No, please. No. Webflow has been a tremendous asset for us. I talked about it for just a minute, but we use Webflow as our means of publishing all of our written content. It's also the front door to kind of the digital clubhouse, if you will. Like we have a community of really avid people that are chatting amongst themselves and engaging with our authors. And the flexibility and the power that we have from Webflow it's not the only reason, but it's one of the primary drivers of what's allowed us to kind of grow the way we have in the past year or so. Like the digital footprint is something that I think everyone is so proud of and so excited to showcase. And just candidly, I think they're so excited to go and visit and read content on that we're just in a fundamentally different spot as a result of the investments we made there.
Yeah.
So yeah, can we rewind a little bit just because I did that kind of side swipe there, but our initial engagement was you came to us because you were on WordPress, and then the kind of task at hand was to migrate to Webflow. Can you tell us a little bit about that project? Because from our point of view, we knew we were up with quite a challenge, but it'd be great to hear your point of view on it and what that the undertaking looked like.
Yeah, absolutely. When I started at Fred Egg Golf, I guess it was probably a little more than 18 months ago. First of all, it was like, why is this company hiring a head of product? This seems very analogous analogous. This seems very like atypical of why they would hire someone in my kind of role. And so I was like, oh, this is interesting. So we started the conversation of what was important to them and what I could really contribute. And at the time, we were using a WordPress, very just like standard blog style website to deliver our content, and also kind of our membership facilitate that through there as well. And when you looked at it, there was, a lot of areas of opportunity to grow. And I was excited about that because I was like, oh, wow, we can do a lot. But fundamentally, we had this website that operated in a very flattened manner. So it was like landing page, thefriedegg.com. And then for all intents and purposes, the only other level of structure was the individual article page. There was no like sub pages or like category pages of sorts to kind of further enrich the experience. It was mostly like just, as I can describe it, it was a blog. And when I saw the website and I kind of dug into the content that we had, the things that I realized were that we had such a rich back catalog of evergreen content that just was as relevant today as it was 5 years ago when it was first written. But in the website, it was stuffed so far down in the, filing cabinets of places that people were never going to look that it was like, might as well just not exist anymore. And so, as someone who's not been in the media content space before, for me, I started to look around and try to figure out what were the best tools that we could invest in to give our internal team the best chance of success and give our readers the best experiences of consuming our content. And I'd use Webflow for just like my own personal reasons. I just kind of always interested in what's out there with tech, and I had given it a shot before and I was really impressed. And the other piece is the all-encompassing nature of it was very nice and appealing to us as a small company, to where our WordPress site was like, it was built on these little minute building blocks of plugins and this, that, and the other. And if one thing failed, I didn't know how to fix it, and it would inherently impact something else. And so I was like, I just personally need to get away from that. due to the amount of resourcing that we have here. And Webflow just kind of offered this like one-stop shop. It's great for what it is. And it's also started to build this kind of like burgeoning ecosystem of people around it, like yourselves, that I felt represented a more modern, I don't know, like whatever you want to call it. I'm trying to pile on all the kudos that I can for you. Modern, tasteful, fun, quirky representation of like what a digital future could look like. And it made the choice really easy. And so for us, it was about rationalizing the small amount of money that we could invest from getting off WordPress and figuring out how to go forward. And so Webflow just offered a vastly superior tool for us to grow. So I'll talk more about it, but let me know how you want to kind of decompose it as opposed to just rambling on.
I remember the first time going into strategy in the Figma file and going through everything and talking to Adam, one of our designers, about the goals of the site and the amount, I think it's like 2,500 blogs and, articles and 150 course breakdowns and guidelines.
Yep.
So there's all of this, and we're talking about obviously content migration and getting it all over, but also just creating this beautiful experience where, like you said, it's layered. So there's the home experience, which has, like say, the golden nuggets of everything, but then it's how do people get to their focused areas, like if they're going through to the podcast series, for example. But I also think a massive part of the site was the logged in experience. And we've been talking a lot about how, people that are really obsessed with golf and get into it, and it's this massive community. So I think the website serves the community and allows them to have that logged in experience of even more on the layered. Can you take us through a little bit more, I suppose, about the background of that logged in experience and what you hope to gain?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I would make one side stop and then I'll talk about the logged in experience. You made a really great point of the podcast, the videos, and I talked about that a little bit when Elliot was asking about kind of the diversity of how we deliver content. One of the other aspects of our WordPress site was that it was just the written content, just blogs. Like that was the article structure was all we had. It was relatively strict, very, hard to edit that. And it was just very reductive to our overall footprint. And one of the things that Adam and I talked about extensively during the design process was that we wanted a website that represented the breadth of our coverage. So when you log into the Fried Egg now, it's your written articles. There's also podcasts, there's video series. The website feels alive and dynamic and full of motion. And it's covered in great photographic detail. Like we really did a great job of maximizing the things that we wanted to maximize. And that was just one of the big benefits. And then how you parlay that is, we talked about it. Attention is not the unit that we chase. It's actually relationships. But that said, our deepest relationships are with our active members. So we have a membership portion of our company that's called the Fried Egg Golf Club. It started out as Club TFE, which is, Club the Fried Egg, but Fried Egg Golf Club is where we're at now. And it offers our members some unique benefits. They get gated access to our deepest and richest content. The course profiles, to your point, Lydia, are where our team will go out and, sink a lot of effort into photographing and shooting drone imagery of all of these golf courses, and then writing these really beautiful, very informative, deep dives into a specific golf course. It will take you through the history, some of the key decisions that were made, maybe some of the challenges that the course might have struggled with. And then it kind of gives you a whole by whole experience to really help you illuminate and understand that golf course at something more than a superficial level. And one of the weird challenges with our old site was that we had the standard WordPress homepage, and then we had the logged in experience. And for all intents and purposes, they were just two completely separate experiences. There was no overlap really. You were either logged in and seeing the gated content, or you were not logged in and you could go and see the regular stuff. And one of the great things we've done with Webflow is we have this kind of gated preview where you can, as a non-member, click on any of our course profiles and read the first third of it and get a nice little photo tour and understand a little bit about what's there. And then we kind of have a slow gradation of a gated experience. It's hey, if you really want to dive deep, this is one of the benefits of being a club member. But if you are a club member, you just dive like literally as deep as you want to go. To your point, it's like, it's an experience that it's a ton of fun. It is so intimate and so deep. And it's ultimately facilitated in a way that we just want to make sure that for those of our customers that we have the deepest relationship with, we just give them the absolute best of what we have to offer. And that's kind of in a nutshell, what the Friday Golf Club is and the member experience and how that's facilitated. It's very seamless and organic now on our new website. And it's been, a tremendous growth lever for us since we moved over to it.
Yeah, and the editability from your side as well, because I know when you talked about earlier with the WordPress site is, different integrations and different sections kind of pulled together to either create the pages or stand them up in general. How has Webflow changed that from an editability side and the team being empowered to do a lot of these things themselves?
I think that if I could answer that in a very simple way, I would say that it's easy to use. It's very like modular in its way of like we can build little components here and string them together with other components there and not have to rely on an engineer or, an IT-ish person to do some of this stuff. And then the more important thing that I think that it's ultimately facilitated is just this desire for further creativity. Like not feeling bound to a format that was prescribed with the old site. And that really, it didn't stifle, but it very much limited the creativity that was coming out of the team in terms of what else that we could actually go and do. And I think what we've seen with Webflow is, aside from just administration of the website, which is definitely an easier experience across the board, it's really been a nice creative unlock because people are starting to ask, like, why not? Why not this or why not that? And that's been great because it gives me the ability to come back to you guys to work with the team more broadly and be like, what if we developed a feature that allowed our creators to do this? And a good example is like, our old website just kind of had a standard photo gallery pattern where it's a photo gallery and then like the 6 little thumbnails under it, and you click in and you kind of slide through one by one by one. And ultimately we took and rinsed and repeated that for our new website because that was just the easiest way to go forward. But we're right on the cusp of developing this like really brilliant course tour feature that it kind of looks like an experience of if you click into a premium Airbnb and you see like this like immersive like room by room breakdown of photos. Like that's something that we just almost never would have thought of being able to do. And then the ability to bring it online in a pretty low effort way is like, oh wow, like what else can we do? And so that's just one example of many that has allowed us to move really fast while not like sacrificing any, but actually increasing our creative process.
Yeah, I know the team loves working on this site in particular because it is that creative engine and you do come with cool ideas. Your team comes with awesome ideas. It's awesome content. I mean, Adam himself loves golf, so he was very excited to say the least. But yeah, I know it's been really cool from both sides and to see that and not be limited by, just one rich text field on a blog, like really getting that immersive experience. Especially with how big the site is and how deep it is. One for Elliot, actually. When Friday Golf first landed on, when we first started the Friday Egg Golf project, so what went through your mind in terms of obviously massive content migration? We still want to maintain the personality of the website. What was your sort of game plan to start with?
Well, yeah, it was interesting because Beau actually had done a lot of thinking himself. He'd come quite armed and ready and almost felt like he knew what he wanted to do, which was actually, from our point of view, beautiful and we could really kind of take it and run with it. But he was also open to us kind of putting some of our ideas into the mix. And I think his openness to that was also really great and allowed us to take what he had done and push it further and just evolve it collectively. And I think that's like any good partnership. I think it's about a collective mindset as opposed to throwing things over the fence and trying to go away and come back. I think we kind of did that collective creation throughout the process. And I think you spoke of it earlier, Beau. It's like, you felt unlocked. Well, we felt unlocked as well. And I think together we've just kind of kept pushing it, and I think there's so much more opportunity. And that's how we always saw it. It's like, it's such a cool, what you guys have done is so cool, and it has maintained this authenticity, which you don't see often now. Like, it's really hard to come across, and I think, Lydia touched on it. Like, how do you maintain that? I think that is genuinely a big challenge for you guys, because I can see growth there, I can see opportunity, and I could see new technologies coming along which would unlock you guys even further. But you'd be constantly trying to make sure that you don't, you can preserve that branding, you can preserve that quality that you guys already produce. So yeah, so like for me, like maybe I'll turn that actually back into a question for you, Beau, which is, you live in San Francisco, right? Your partner is associated with, and I won't name, but a big LLM. You're surrounded by this world of, let's call it AI, right? Like, you literally live it, breathe it. How do you see that kind of impact where the Friday at Golf is going? Like, what does it mean? Is it opportunity? Is it something, you talked about kind of maintaining? Like, yeah, really curious.
Oof, that's a big one. Well, let me say something. Let me be as complimentary as I can to your team. The process of bouncing ideas back and forth is, it's been truly great. Like, I did come with a very specific point of view, and I think the thing that you all helped us with was sharpening that and opening our ideas to slightly different ways of delivering the proposed solution that I brought to the table. And it's been little ways of like maybe a different representation of imagery, to big ways of like having picture-in-picture YouTube and podcast videos that play on our site, which is just like little small things that there may be people that take for granted, but like I just didn't think about it. And having a partner in crime that was there to hear me and all of my kind of desires and wants, and also push back and give me some like friction, was immensely valuable. Like, we would have had a great site had you all not have come into my life, but like, we would have never had the site that we have now, and the experience that we have now, and the representation of our brand that is like out there and living. And so I don't want that to go unnoticed. From Adam to Nicola to everyone that worked on the project to Alex, like, everyone's done a tremendous amount of work for us, and so grateful for that. To answer your further question of, I do live in San Francisco. My wife works for one of the big AI model companies. And I can't turn into LinkedIn without seeing about, 1,000 messages of how AI is changing everything, or how everything I think is true is not. And I think there's a world where that is true, and there's a world where that's not true. And what I talk to everyone about here internally at Fried Egg is that we need to find how we continue to evolve our business, but never do so in a way that would erode the relationship that we have with our customers. And, the most simple, like, almost just like, this is duh, but like, we can't use tools to supplement the creative process in a way that removes our individual voice and spirits and thoughts and hopes and dreams from the message that we're going to relay to our audience, whether that's through podcast, video, written, whatever it is. Like, we have to be truly human and authentic in a way that is unwavering and unchanging. Now, what can we do from a perspective of like, can we build new tools that make us more creative? I think that's something that, like, if you look at the most recent series I talked about of like all 18 holes at Augusta, it's so simple, but we have this little like course tour map that's like individual pins. You click it, it brings up a little snippet of the hole, and then it links you off into the article itself. Like, that was something that we built with the assistance of AI, right? Like, AI is great at writing code. There's not a single software engineer in our organization. So for me as the head of product, that's like kind of a funny relationship when it's like typically product works with design and engineering. We don't have enough money to have design nor engineering here at Fried Egg. So I'm like, what am I going to do? And so looking to the future and seeing where advances have been made and trying to find the most on-brand, authentic way to bring that into our business, I think is where we kind of ride the level of like, what's the friction point? And let's make sure we use it for the areas that can supplement the things that we don't do well, but let's never replace the things that we do well within.
I think you've put that really nicely, actually, because a lot of people struggle of where to use AI. And is AI are we gonna use it for all of our copywriting and things? And it's, in your case, that's not where you want to focus it. That's not where you have the dip, I suppose. It's using that to supplement things that either a company can't scope right now, they don't have, that's not where they want to focus, or it's building on or checking things that you are doing really well. So I think it's that nice, you strike that nice balance between the two. And I think that's actually quite hard to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone from me, you, whoever is going through the process of like, how do I integrate this thing into my life? How does it like change what I do? Do I become just way more productive? Do I go do things that I didn't know how to do before? And it's a different answer for a lot of people, but I think we are definitely focused on just making sure it can supplement us in areas that we need help and not replace the most sincere things that we do. That would be a bad business decision.
Yeah, I think throwing it back over to Elliot as well is, in your opinion, you deal with a lot of info clients. In terms of the site and what Fried Egg Golf is doing, what does the site do differently, or what does the site have ahead of the curve that potentially not all the websites out there that you see in general, whether our client or not, and yet how are they ahead of the rest?
I wouldn't say they're necessarily ahead of a rest, but what they're definitely unlocking most of the capabilities. So I think when you look at Fried Egg Golf, there's a lot of depth, there's a lot of variety. Obviously, there's even, as we've spoken about, the member portal. It just shows like you can do a lot more with Webflow than most people perceive, and I think Beau continues to push it and stretch it to, not to its limits by any stretch, but just constantly understands its capabilities and really unlocks that. And I think there's like I said, there's room for a lot more. Like we could be considering things like optimize, which we haven't even talked about yet, and start to personalize the experience. And how does that not interfere with that overall narrative that you guys are trying to project, but how does it lead its way into giving me what I need versus what the other type of golfer needs? Here's an amateur golfer, here's a pro golfer, right? Like they'll need different experiences. So that to me is like the future of other opportunities that the Fried Egg can unlock. But by no means, I think today already you just see it. It's a site that's really strongly representing a brand and a taste and a style, which that I think is unique. And I think it feels like that hasn't been limited. Whereas sometimes you go into experiences, you're like, well, that's feeling a little bit templatable. There's something a little bit held back there. Although they've embellished in other areas, I think there's this integrity that's just throughout the site at every touch point. And yeah, I think that's a great representation of what you can do with your brand, what you can do on the web. And the future, I think, is definitely, like you say, more human, right? I think websites going to present brands an opportunity to connect more than actually before, because there's so much fake and questionable content out there now that you kind of start to go, is this real? Like if you see something on, let's just say the Masters outside of a known entity or source, you're like, did that happen? Like you genuinely don't know. And I think Fried Egg Golf can actually be a source of truth and a source of more rich detail and immersive content than ever before, because people will gravitate towards brands and businesses like yours, because they will just like really be exhausted with misleading content. And I think you guys represent like the opportunity to be even more detailed and more depth that, and hopefully, like say, more personalized over time as well. I think that's where it could be.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think this sounds like such a big picture. Wow, you'll probably never get that far. But if you just think broadly about the trend that, a lot of places on the internet are going, trust is something that has, over the past 5 years, been deprioritized, just broadly speaking. Like you could see that in terms of the content you consume versus the actual hiring patterns of a lot of like places here around me in Silicon Valley. Like it's like, so and so will come in and wipe out the entire trust and integrity team because they just are a line item on the P&L that they don't want to deal with anymore. And there's a lot of great things that happen on the internet, truly great things. But like a lot of them also get kind of like bastardized for the purposes of making an extra dollar or two. And I think the thing that we find exciting is finding a way to give people joy and value out of these like big institutional things that exist, let's be like a social network or something, and find a little way to bring that into our website under our roof and do it in the most sincere way possible. And so, do we want to compete with Twitter or X or Instagram? No, we don't. But like, do we also want to give people a little bit of that experience of online community, but doing it in a safe way? I think those are things that I'm extremely excited about. And one of the reasons that I'm so happy we chose Webflow, because it gives us the power and extensibility to go prove that out in a really low cost, powerful way that doesn't feel like we're like jipping off the user in any intersection of that. So it's something that I just continue to see, like, what are the things that people care about in the world, and how can we bring little nuggets of that into our ecosystem?
Yeah, I think pulling a couple of the points that you've both touched on, and it's something that's coming up a lot, and I personally have been asked it before, around the future of websites and what their place will be, and AI-built websites and all of these things. And I think it is a really important touch point that it's the source of truth for your brand. It's the source of truth for everything, because you have all of these, platforms where you can search things. And to Elliot's point, you're not entirely sure if it's real, whether it's something like Claude or something like Instagram, you're not entirely sure. So when they get drawn to your website, that is the true source, and that is how you either negate something that might have been a bit muddied along the way that you saw on social media, or it's something that drives something home and sends that person to either the last point of engagement and turning into a lead, to say that sentence, or signing up and making an account and getting into the detail. So I think they absolutely still serve as that truth, and I think Friday Golf website does that beautifully, because it's that quintessential brand through and through, no apologies, happy to just be unapologetically about golf.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. This is maybe our hot take moment, but I think we can all agree that websites aren't going away and the value is actually only increasing. So like, as a company or a creator of some sorts, or a business, whatever you want to call it, that doesn't have a clear front door out there on the internet, I think it's a dangerous place to be in. You're just one algorithm change away from completely being wiped away on social media. And that's not in your control. Like, you're not the ones that make that decision. And so are things like social media and AI great ways for discovery? Yes. Like, do you control anything about them? No. And I think that it is ultimately, it's foolish not to invest in your own house. And like, the website is such a key pillar for us. It's not going anywhere, and it's only going to grow in its value. And I think that, I'm definitely happy to stand on the one that we've built. It's a great one.
Yeah, we have something we always say at N4 around launch day is day zero. So, when we build a site and we go through the strategy phases and the content phases and design and development launch, it is under these educated sort of hypothesis of what might happen and the goals and what our personas are doing with this backup. But really, when the website goes live, it either blows that up or it allows us to strengthen different avenues. So I think the Friday Golf site is also that where we've been working on it for months and months past launch, and it's it's not completely different than when we launched it, but it's bigger, it's got more capabilities, we've got all of these layers that weren't prioritized for the fundamental launch, but it's about foundation and then what can you do and learn and change, and to Elliot's point, potentially optimize in the future to just enhance that even further.
Yeah, I agree. It's not completely different, but I kind of go back and, not actually, but I kind of keep a running list of all the things we've built in case my boss wants to do a performance review and say, like, what have you done for me lately? And then I can show him this grand list of all the things that we've done. And it actually is pretty shocking, to your point, Lydia. Like the original version of the website was beautiful and great, but I kind of told everyone, I was like, today is going to be the worst day of our website. For this point going forward, it's the worst day we're ever going to get. We're only getting better. And we've developed so many cool feature extensions or new ways to deliver content that it's just been this constant evolution. Like the facade and the framework may look the same, but the amount of stuff that we've continued to evolve and tighten up and deliver better expectations for our customers, like that has been a fun process as well. Like I look into my calendar, I've got this marked as a exact date, but Thursday, April 23rd was the 1 year anniversary of when we launched our website. So, not sure when this will launch, but we are coming up on the 1 year anniversary. And the amount of change to it has been shocking. Like it's not completely different, but like the amount of like stuff that's been added is just really humbling. And it's been a fun journey to go through.
Yeah, I have it in my little watch list Slack channel, and I always pop into the fried egg one and I have a little stalk of what we've been up to and what we've been doing. And it's so nice to see, Alex and Nicola and all the team all piping out all the time, like, oh, this feature's in testing, this one's live, or, and the designers just having fun in the background and collaborating with the team, because we, like to think we're the experts of what we do, but our clients are the experts of our clients. So we need to really leverage that as well and work closely with you, like we were talking about before, and how Elliot was saying that we were unlocked as a provider as well, rather than just Webflow and just the team unlocking as well. I think it was that team collaboration that naturally unlocks everybody.
Yeah, I agree. This is like, we have a 4-year-old, and one of our friends was talking to us about the kindergarten process, and they're like, listen, you're the expert in your child, but the kindergarten teachers are the expert in children. And like, I kind of feel that relationship with us. Like, I'm like, I know fried egg golf. I know our customer. And then you're like, well, I know the internet and I know websites and I know what works. And like the balance and like being able to take your hands off the wheel and trust that the other person that grabs the wheel is going to take you in the right direction is critical. And whether it were Webflow or just some of the other projects that we work on, I have so much trust in the team that you all have there that it's just been a great working relationship from that standpoint.
Awesome. I love that. Well, it goes without saying, but it's an absolute pleasure working with you and your team as well. And I think that sort of wraps us up for today. Thank you so much for your time, Beau. It's been awesome. I think reminiscing a little bit of the parts that I've had to play in the website and with the team, and then just in general over I forgot how big the background was, to be fair, and how much. And I know we did a custom migration from Webflow from WordPress to Webflow and all that. So it's all coming back. It's all flowing back.
Yeah. I think there's a deep cut of this podcast where we talk about, the actual number of photos that we migrated and all the this, that, and the other. The team did a tremendous amount of work because it was a lot of content and it was pretty complicated, but the end deliverable was spotless and it's really perfect.
Maybe I can send that point to the team. We can find some fun facts kicking over my mic, some fun facts to display on the screen, weird little tidbits and facts of the site, I think.
Yeah.
And thank you so much, Elliot, as well, for your time. Didn't introduce you properly because I always forget to do that, but Elliot is one of our co-founders at N4, so it's been a pleasure talking to you both. So yeah, thank you, and have a lovely afternoon or day, wherever you are in the world.
Absolutely. You as well.
Thanks, Lydia. Thanks, Beau.
Bye, guys.